Hi, my name's David Smith and I'm the founder and CEO of Cerestag, a low-cost, high-retention, NLIS compliant smart ear tag for livestock, providing geolocation, health management, early warning notification and geofencing solutions. Like many producers, we had our challenges. Where was our livestock? Were they dead or alive? I needed better financing solutions around my stock. I needed to know whether they were being thieved. I wanted to know when they were giving birth. I wanted to know which ones were fattening the fastest, which ones were... I wanted to actually use my land for more animals and do that more sustainably, and I wanted to reduce my costs. So we set about developing Cerestag. First of all, we need to fix the retention issue. Then we added some animal behaviour algorithms to it, added accelerometers for performance measurements. We combined GPS and ground-based communication systems, temperature measurement for biosecurity, and of course harvesting the energy to keep the device continuous. So what Cerestag does is collects and receives and transfers data to our central database. From there, we offer an open API to the multitudes of excellent software platforms that the producers currently use. So what we don't do is the analytics. We create the data. So by knowing exactly where your animals are, we can then determine whether when the animals jump the fence or if they're being thieved. We can then start to do the virtual fencing, and where we give early warning notification through vibration and noise. And then an electric stimuli if it touches the virtual fence. And of course the temperature monitoring will be critical in the biosecurity, and not just in pasture fed but also in the more intensive ways of producing livestock. Our market is the red meat, dairy, wool and pork industries. With over 100 million livestock in Australia, 40 million in New Zealand, and 300 million just in South America alone in cattle. It's quite an extensive market that's available to us. We did all our financials on a 20% birthing rate, and an important point is the tags are recyclable, but they're not reusable, and that's a function of the NLIS compliancy, one tag, one animal. So in July this year, we will be accelerating our development from our alpha prototype, which I've got here. We'll be defining a new minimum viable product. Then we'll go into a marketable product right through to the manufacturing and first sales in 2020. Our team all have agricultural heritage. Myself, I'm a materials engineer with an MBA, fellow of the Australian Institute of Company Directors, and now built 2 international multi-billion-dollar businesses part of an executive team. One of those, I worked with Mariano for 7 years. He originates from Argentina and will spearhead our South American efforts at the appropriate time. He's an industrial engineer with an MBA as well. Stefan originates from South Africa, a guru in the Internet of Things. He's also electrical and electronics engineer. Melita, 6th generational farmer, passionate about holistic grazing, masters in education. And of course, Neil Davidson, who's one of Australia's best industrial designers. And of course, he grew up on property around here as well, so he's quite familiar. Just want to say a special thank you to these people who have been quite vocal in their support for us. This list is by no means extensive. I just want to point out a couple of those who have been extraordinary in their support. Australian Country Choice, who are our commercial trial partners, and CSIRO and JCU, who are our technology development partners. So in summary, while we have the world-renowned technology partners, we have provisional patent in place for 170 countries. We have all our trademarks in place. We have animal ethics approvals, so we can start trials immediately. We have excellent industry support from producers. We are seeking $2.4 million for 20% equity in the company. We're currently under consideration by MLA Donor Company and Advanced Queensland Innovation Partnerships for funding, and our prototype testing will begin in first quarter 2018. Thank you.
David, how heavy is the ear tag and how robust is it?
Well, it has to be robust, it has to be weatherproof, it has to last for 10 years as a minimum. Weight-wise, the alpha prototype's quite heavy, but the next generation is probably around 30 grams, if not less. And
how does that compare with ear tags that cattle would have now?
Probably double.
Right.
To be honest.
Right. Okay, we'll see the panellists. You've got a question, Sam?
Yeah, thank you. I suppose, so the ask is $2.4 million.
Yes.
And I understand that the valuation you've applied there, I suppose for a lot of early stage investors, that the few that there are in Australia will be, as you're probably aware, a bit of a difficult one, that you've got no revenue yet and that you're applying that type of value to your business. So that's more of a statement than a question. The biggest question for me is if you're asking for $2.4 mil to go into the business, I didn't see on any of that your go-to-market strategy. How are you going to get this to market, and what is your scalable way of getting that into all of the heads of cattle that you've spoken about?
Yeah, unfortunately we only have 5 minutes, but to go-to-market philosophy, look, if I had this available now, I could have it on millions of animals. So certainly direct contact with us will certainly get us our first sales away. But after that, we have had interest, and unfortunately due to non-disclosure agreements we can't, but there are agents who wish to sell this product as soon as it is ready. But online will certainly be one of the other areas to go to market.
Who's going to go next? Andrew? Oh.
Sort of the similar question I have about what channels how are you going to take it to market, but also just the logistics. I mean, do you have any expertise in the team around, it's a hardware play here, in terms of manufacture, warehousing, distribution, so on?
Yeah. Yes, I have had quite considerable experience, mainly in the energy industry though. We're in discussions with 2 Australian-based manufacturers, but in all reality, they're probably not going to be able to meet the numbers in which we need produced, and our energy costs will probably not be the most efficient for the manufacturing either. We're in communication with 2. One wanted to make an offer for the manufacturing positioning, and they were from Taiwan, and the other one's from Singapore.
Maybe to build on that then, I'm not quite understanding from the presentation the business model, exactly which parts of the chain you're going to tackle. So manufacturing, yes. Distribution?
Yes. Well, we will do some of the distribution. We'll also have agents that do the distribution. Not much different to the current NLIS tags at the moment.
And an unrelated question is around the end user experience. So obviously as a potential user and familiar with the industry, you've got it, but have you worked through any of the real issues that are end users going to have in either utilising the data or understanding it, driving the whole value proposition? So
that's where it was key. Initially I wanted to provide a whole of market, so get the data, do all the analytics and stuff. I soon realised that there are so many great companies, software companies doing the analytics there. The bit that they were all screaming for was, I need the data from onboard the animal. So we didn't want to be all things to all people. We just wanted to be the one who creates the data, offers that to the producers, because they all use different software platforms as well. So we want to collaborate with them all.
David, my question is, I guess I'll be the token farmer in the audience. What's going to motivate me to purchase your Cerestag as opposed to some of your competitors that are also in a similar phase to you, and some are probably a little bit further down the track of getting their product to market? How are you going to make me more money?
Well, I'd love to know who those competitors are, because there are some that provide temperature, and there are some that provide virtual fencing, and there are some that provide different aspects, but none have that holistic approach, because we don't want the animal to have multiple different ear tags, all providing different components. Look, I know as a producer myself, I've got 700 cattle just 100 kilometres north of here myself. I know what I needed. I needed to know where my animals were. What the big producers are telling me was, I can't afford 2 days just finding my animals to start with. I want to know whether they're alive or dead, because then I can write them off on my administration. You know, it saves me so much money that way. Geez, if I can avoid any risk of biosecurity issues coming in to my herd and wiping me out, that, just like the aquaculture stuff, the white spot in prawns, I'm going to be pretty happy as well. And the list goes on. The more you talk to people, and then you go into the holistic grazing stuff, how you can utilise the existing land and double your herd. I mean, if I don't have to buy extra assets, I'm going to be pretty happy about that.
I'll hog the microphone for a tick. You put up 4 different livestock classes up there, and they've all got different value per animal. So will your pricing reflect that? I'm more familiar with sheep, and I don't want to pay the same for my tag as the dairy cow person will.
No, you're absolutely right. And to start with, we're focusing at beef, to be quite frank about it. And that's because of the value of the animal. And the tag will be just sub $30 initially, retail. But that's because we've got a printed circuit board in there and the GPS. The plan is that once we get the numbers there and we start to hit the millions in the numbers, we will go to a chip, and that'll drive the cost down, and we're talking about a third of the cost, if not less. So it will make economic sense for your sheep and your goats and your smaller animals.
David, we've got some questions coming in on the text line. How does the tag communicate with the cloud, and how will the end user access the data?
Sorry, can you say that again?
How does the tag communicate with the cloud, and how will the end user access the data?
Well, let's start with the back one. They'll access the data from the cloud for using their existing software platforms. Going to the cloud, that will come through the infrastructure that we set up either via satellite or via ground-based infrastructure.
And why so long a development phase? Aren't you worried that competitors will beat you?
Well, I've got no doubt there will be competitors that will chase us. Yeah, absolutely. It just takes that long, and part of the timing is also for instance, the NLIS compliancy is a 3-year journey for a start. So there are regulatory requirements, and we need to satisfy those requirements. But also, we want to make sure that we test these, and we are testing them on CSIRO land, and then we will be going to Australian Country Choice in a commercial environment and doing the testing, and that all takes time.
Okay, and we've got one more here. Does the poor internet in the bush mean that people they've just got an expensive earring? Sorry,
Let's hope
expensive
not.
earring was my line.
Let's hope not. Thank you.
So you're waiting for everybody else for the internet?
We'll have our own, if need be, we'll set up our own infrastructure. I'm a former director of a company that's rolling out the NBN, and we can set up quick, infrastructure to get that data moved around properties in a very cost-efficient way.
Okay. Yeah. Well, please thank David Smith from Cerestag.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.